ओम अनंताय नमः। ओम अनंत पुण्यफलदाय नमः। ओम अखिलांडकोटि ब्रह्मांड प्रायणाय नमः। ओम ईप्सितफलदायकाय नमः। ओम उष्णीषधराय नमः। ओम उत्सवप्रियाय नमः। ओम कल्मषहारिणे नमः। ओम कर्मफलदायकाय नमः। ओम कारणविनिर्मुक्ताय नमः। ओम कैवल्यपादधायकाय नमः। ओम कृपाकराय नमः। ओम त्रयोविंशत्कोटि देवस्ता सेव्यमाना पादाब्जाय नमः। ओम सर्वकाम द्विंशिने नमः। ओम कल्पतरुमूलवासिने नमः। ओम कल्पतरवे नमः। ओम निष्कलाय नमः। ओम नामरूपविवर्जिताय नमः। ओम भक्तवत्सलाय नमः। ओम सर्वव्याधि प्रशमनाय नमः। ओम सर्व आदि निवारणाय नमः। ओम पापगमनाय नमः। ओम सहस्रार आरोधाय नमः। ओम भक्तहृद्पद्म सुस्थिताय नमः। ओम सच्चिदानंदाय नमः। ओम वेदांतवेद्याय नमः। ओम परमात्मने नमः। ओम सर्वसाक्षिणे नमः। ओम योगनाथाय नमः। ओम तत्वज्ञानप्रदाय नमः। ओम मायपाश विवर्जिताय नमः। ओम पशुपतये नमः। ओम करुणासागराय नमः। ओम प्रेमस्वरूपिणे नमः। ओम कालातीताय नमः। ओम भाग्यवृत्तिपरिवृत्तकाय नमः। ओम स्वतंत्रयाय नमः। ओम निजा स्वातंत्र्यदायकाय नमः। ओम निर्विकल्पाय नमः। ओम शरणागतवत्सलाय नमः। ओम बिडदिपुरीशाय नमः। ओम शांताय नमः। ओम समस्तकल्याण गुणान्विताय नमः। ओम प्रज्योतिषे नमः। ओम सोमसूर्याग्नि नयनाय नमः। ओम भावगम्याय नमः। ओम सर्वान्तरयामिने नमः। ओम जगद्व्यापिने नमः। ओम भवबन्धन कंधनाय नमः। ओम भावचक्र प्रवर्तकाय नमः। ओम दक्षिणामूर्तिस्वरूपाय नमः। ओम पतितपावनाय नमः। ओम भगवते नमः। ओम जगन्नाथाय नमः। ओम सकलैश्वर्यप्रदाय नमः। ओम स्वामिने नमः। ओम रक्षाकराय नमः। ओम नित्याय नमः। ओम हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम विश्वयोनये नमः। ओम भस्मप्रियाय नमः। ओम भस्मत्रिपुण्ड्रविलिप्तललाटाय नमः। ओम सिद्धवृन्दवन्दिताय नमः। ओम सकलागम संवेदाय नमः वेद्याय नमः। ओम रुद्राक्षप्रियाय नमः। ओम रुद्राक्षाभरणाय नमः। ओम भक्ति वश्याय नमः। ओम निराधाराय नमः। ओम निराकाराय नमः। ओम गुणातीताय नमः। ओम पुराणपुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। ओम चित्तिवृत्तिनिरोधकाय नमः। ओम ध्यानगम्याय नमः। ओम धर्म अधर्म विवर्जिताय नमः। ओम नित्य तृप्ताय नमः। ओम निरहंकाराय नमः। ओम मृत्युंजयाय नमः। ओम सर्वोपाधि विनिर्मुक्ताय नमः। ओम निर्गुणाय नमः। ओम गुणम्याय नमः। ओम ओम मरणोर्मिनाशनाय नमः। ओम समस्तदर्शिने नमः। ओम मूर्त्य अमृताय नमः। ओम दीनबंधवे नमः। ओम मातृभूतेश्वराय नमः। ओम आदिक त्रितिषष्पते नमः। ॐ ॐ सम्प्रद परिवृत्तकाय नमः। ॐ सर्वमन्त्रार्थाय नमः। ॐ शुलभ्यपरिपूर्णाय नमः। ॐ समाधिस्थिताय नमः। ॐ वरदाय नमः। ॐ सर्वशास्त्रार्थाय नमः। ॐ पञ्चक्रियपरायणाय नमः। ॐ दिव्यदेहाय नमः। ॐ अतुलितशक्तिमते नमः। ॐ भावरोगवेषहजाय नमः। ॐ श्री नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमो नमः। अधद्धूपः। ॐ धोरसि धोर्वधोर्वं तन्दोर्वतय्यो ओस्मान् धोर्वतितं धोर्वयं वयं धोर्वामस्त्वं देवानामसि षष्टितमं पप्रितमं जुष्टतमं मह्नितं देवहूतममृतमशर्रव्रतानं ध्रुवमस्त्वमाक्वाः मृत्यक्षत्वा चक्षुषा प्रेक्षे माभिर्मा संवित्वा माक्वाहं शिशुं श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः। धूपम् आग्राभयामि। अदद्दीपः। ॐ उद्दीप्यश्वजातवेतो भग्निर्निररतिं मम पशोगुष्टमह्यमावह जीवनं षदिशो दिशा मानो हिगुं श्रीर्जातवेतो कामस्त्वं पुरुषं जगत् अभिभ्रदग्नः गयीष्य मा परिपातय। श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूप भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमो नमः। दीपं दर्शयामि। अत नैवेद्यम् ॐ अमृते अमृतोद्भवे अमृतवर्षिणि अमृतश्रावय श्रावय स्वाहा। श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूप भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमो नमः। अमृतं महानैवेद्यं निवेदयामि। नैवेद्यानन्तरमाचमनीयं समर्पयामि। आरात्रिकम् ॐ न तत्र सूर्यो भान्ति न चन्द्रतारकं मे मा वित्युकुतो भान्ति कितोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तम् अनुपाति सर्वं तस्य भाषा सर्वं विदं विभाति। श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूप भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमो नमः। कर्पूरनीराजनं सन्दर्शयामि। रक्षां धारयामि। नित्यै सर्वस्य नित्यै सर्वमेव तेन आप्नोति सर्वं जयति ॐ ईशानः सर्वविज्ञानाम् ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवम्। श्री नित्यानन्देश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। महादीपं सन्दर्शयामि। ॐ नमो भगवते रुद्राय। ॐ नमस्ते रुद्रमन्यव उतोतैषवे नमः। नमस्ते अस्तु धन्वने बाहुभ्यामुतते नमः। यात ईशु शिवतमा शिवं बभूवते धनुः। शिवा शरव्या यात बतया नो रुद्रमृडया। याते रुद्रशिवा तनूरघोरा पापकाशिनी। तया नस्तनुवाशन्तमया गिरिशन्ताभिचाकशीः। यामिषुं गिरिशन्तहस्ते बिभश्यस्तवे। शिवाङ्गिरित्रतां कुरु माहि गुंशीः पुरुषं जगते। शिवेन वचसा त्वा गिरिशाच्छावदापसि। यथा नः सर्वमिज्जगति यक्ष्मगुं सुमना असते। अद्य वोचदिति वक्ता प्रथमो दैव्योऽभिषक्। अहीगिश्च सर्वान् जम्बयन् सर्वाश्च यातु धान्यः। असौ यस्ताम्रो अरुण उत बभ्रुषु मङ्गलः। क्षेमागुं रुद्रा अभितो दिक्षुश्रिता सहस्रचो वैशागुं हेर ईमहे। असौ यो वसर्पति नीलग्रीवो विलोहितः। उदैनं गोपादर्शन्नदर्शन्नदहार्यः। उदैनं विश्वाभूतानि सदृष्टो मृडयादिनः। नमो अस्तु नीलग्रीवाय सहस्राक्षाय मीळे। अथो ये अस्य दत्त्वा नो हन्तेभ्यो करन्नमः। प्रमुञ्च धन्वनस्त्वमुभयोराग्नियोर्ज्यां। यास्य देहस्तैषवः भगवो वप। अवदत्यदनुस्त्वहं सहस्राक्षदेषु ते। निशीर्यश्चल्यानामुखा शिवो नः सुमना भव। विद्यन्ननुःकपर्दिनो विशल्यो भानवागुम् उत। अनेशन्नश्येषव आपुरस्य निषङ्गदिः। याते हेतर्मीदिष्टमहस्ते बभूवते धनुः। तयास्मान् विश्वतस्त्वमयक्ष्मया परिभुजा। नमस्ते अस्त्वायुधाय नातताय कृष्णवे। उभाभ्यामुतते नमो बाहुभ्यां तव धन्वने। परिते धन्वनो हेतिरस्मान् वृणत्तु विश्वतः। अतो य इषिदिस्तवारे अस्मन्निदेहितम्। शम्भवे नमः। नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकालाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय नित्यानन्दाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। नमो हिरण्यबाहवे सेनान्ये दिशाञ्च पतये। नमो नमो वृक्षेभ्यो हरिकेशेभ्यः पशूनां पतये। नमो नमः सस्पिञ्जराय त्विषीमते बत्तीनां पतये। नमो नमो बब्लुषाय विव्याधिनेन्नानां पतये। नमो नमो हरिकेशायोपवीतिने पुष्टानां पतये। नमो नमो भवस्य हेत्यै जगतां पतये। नमो नमो रुद्राय तथा विने क्षेत्राणां पतये। नमो नमः श्रुताय हन्त्याय वनानां पतये। नमो नमो रोहिताय स्तपतये वृक्षाणां पतये। नमो नमो मन्त्रिणे वाणिजाय कक्षाणां पतये। नमो नमो भुवन्तये वारिवस्कृताय औषधीनां पतये। नमो नमः उच्चैर्घोषाय क्रन्दयते बत्तीनां पतये। नमो नमः कृष्णवीताय धावते सत्त्वनां पतये नमः। नमः सहमानाय निव्याधिन व्याधिनीनां पतये। नमो नमो कगुभाय निषङ्गिने स्तेनानां पतये। नमो नमो निषङ्गिन इषुधिमते तस्कराणां पतये। नमो नमो वञ्चते परिवञ्चते स्तायूनां पतये। नमो नमो निचेरवे परिचरायारण्यानां पतये। नमो नमः श्रीकाविभ्यो जिगागुं सद्भ्यो मुष्णतां पतये नमो नमो श्रीमद्भ्यो नक्तञ्चरभ्य प्रकृन्तानां पतये नमो नमः उष्णीशिने गिरिचराय कुलुञ्चानां पतये नमो नमः ईशुमद्भ्यो धन्वाविभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः तन्वानेभ्यः प्रतिददानेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः आगच्छद्भ्यो विसृजद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमस्यद्भ्यो विद्यभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः आशीनेभ्यः शयानेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः स्वपद्भ्यो जाग्रद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमस्तिष्ठभ्यो धावद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमो सभाभ्यः सभापतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो अश्वेभ्यो अश्वपतिभ्यश्च वो नमः नमः व्याधिनीभ्यो विविद्यन्तीभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गणाभ्यस्त्रिगुंहतीभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गृच्छेभ्यो गृच्छपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रातेभ्यो रातेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गणेभ्यो गणपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो विरूपेभ्यो विश्वरूपेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो महद्भ्यः क्षुल्लकेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रथिभ्यो रथेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रथेभ्यो रथपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः सेनाभ्यः सेनानिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः क्षत्रभ्यश्चङ्ग्रहीतृभ्यश्च वो नमो नमस्तक्षभ्यो रथकारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः कुलालेभ्यः कर्मारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः पुञ्जिष्टेभ्यो निषादेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः इषुमद्भ्यो धन्वकृद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमो मृगयुभ्यश्वनिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः स्वभ्यश्वपतिभ्यश्च वो नमः नमो भवाय च रुद्राय च नमः शर्वाय च पशुपतये च नमो नीलग्रीवाय च शितिकण्ठाय च नमः कपर्दिने च व्युक्तकेशाय च नमः सहस्राक्षाय च शतधन्वने च नमो गिरिजाय च शिपिविष्टाय च नमो मीरिष्टमाय च सुमते च नमो ह्रस्वाय च वामनाय च नमो बृहते च वर्षीयसे च नमो वृद्वाय च संवृद्वने च नमो अग्र्याय च प्रथमाय च नमो आशवे चाधिराय च नमः शीघ्राय च शीभ्याय च नमः ॐ राजाधिराजाय प्रसज्ञसाहिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे समें कामां कामकामाय मह्यं कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो दकादो कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजहेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि श्री नित्यानन्देश्वरि वराशिग्रीमेत श्री नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमः कर्पूरनीराजनं दर्शयामि क्षान्तारयामि। रूपः ॐ धूरसि धूर्वधूर्वं तन्दूर्वदय्योऽस्मि धूर्वतितं धूर्वयं वयं धूर्वामस्त्वं देवानामशिषस्नितमं पप्रितमं जुष्टतमं वह्नितमं देवहूतममृतमशर्रवर्तानं ध्रिमस्त्वमाक्वाः मृत्यक्षत्वा चक्षुषा प्रेक्षे माभिर्मा संवित्वा मा क्वाहं श्रियं श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वरि पराजित्यमेत श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमः धूपं माग्राभयामि अदद्दीपः ॐ उद्दीप्यश्वजातवेतोपग्निर्निरुतं मम वयोगस्तमह्यमावह जीवनं दिशो दिशा मानो हि गुं श्रीजातवेतो कामस्त्वं पुरुषं जगते अभिव्रतज्ञागयिष्यामा परिपातय नित्यानन्देश्वरि पराशक्तिसमेत नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमः दीपं दर्शयामि अत नैवेद्यम् ॐ अमृते अमृतोद्भवे अमृतवर्षिणि अमृतश्रावय श्रावय स्वाहा श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वरि पराजित्यमेत श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमः अमृतं महानैवेद्यामि नैवेद्यानन्तरम् आचमनीयं समर्पयामि आरात्रिकम् ॐ ईशानः सर्वविज्ञानाम् ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्माधिपतिर्ब्रह्मणोऽधिपतिर् ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वरि पराशक्तिमेत श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमः कर्पूरानन्तनीराञ्जनं सन्दर्शयामि रक्षां धारयामि देवदेवोत्तमदेवना सार्वभौम अखिलाण्डकोटि ब्रह्माण्डनायक श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वरि पराशक्तिसमेत श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिव वेदात्ममन्त्रपुष्पाञ्जलिं समर्पयामि ॐ योपां पुष्पं वेद पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति चन्द्रमावा अपां पुष्पं पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति नित्यानन्देश्वरि पराशक्तिमेत श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमः मन्त्रपुष्पाञ्जलिं समर्पयामि देवदेवोत्तमदेवता सार्वभौम अखिलाण्डकोटि ब्रह्माण्डनायक श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वरि पराशक्तिमेत श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिव आशीर्वादप्रिय आशीर्वादम् अवधारयात् ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां ज्ञायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणा चन्दु निर्भयाः इति स्वस्ति मन्त्रात् सत्या सफला भवन्तु इति भवन्तो महान्तो न गृह्णन्तु तथास्तु अपुत्रा पुत्रिणः स्वन्तु पौत्रिणः अतनाः सतनाः सन्तु जीवन्तु शरदर्शतम् इति भवन्तो महान्तो न गृह्णन्तु तथास्तु दुर्जनः सज्जनो भूयात् सज्जनः शान्तिमाप्नुयात् शान्तो मुच्चैकबन्धेभ्यः मुक्तश्चाज्ञा विमोचयेत् इति भवन्तो महान्तो न गृह्णन्तो तथास्तु राजा धर्मप्रति प्रजासु चरिताः पूजादना सज्जनाः षट्कर्मपरवराद्विजाः प्रतिदिनं विद्या अनवद्या सदा वाणिः सन्निहिता चिरं कविमुखैः सानन्दमव्याकुलाः सर्वे सन्तु वैदिकधर्म अनुष्ठाधारः सौजन्यसन्तोषिणः इति स्वस्ति मन्त्रात् सत्या सफला भवन्तु इति भवन्तो महान्तो न गृह्णन्तु तथास्तु येषां देवदेवानां महादेवानाम् अखिलाण्डकोटिब्रह्माण्डनायकानां सकलभूषिस्थितिसंहारतिरोभावानुग्रहाख्य पञ्चकृत्यपरायणानाम् आदिमध्यान्तरहितानाम् अप्रमेयपराक्रमाणां तत्त्वार्थगोचराणां श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वरि पराशक्तिसमेत श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवस्वरूपाणां श्री आदिगुरुर्निगिरियोगीश्वरस्वरूपाणां श्रीकालभैरव महाकालीश्वरूपाणां श्री कैलासोन्नतद्वादशान्तश्यामलापीठारूढानां श्रीसुन्दरेश्वराभिन्नस्वरूपाणां परशोत्तररत्नकुमार गुरुमन्यतुल्यावताराणां श्रीपार्वतीस्तन्यभानलब्धदिव्यज्ञानविश्रुता सकलनिगमागमसारभूता द्राविडवेदप्रवक्तॄणां श्रीमत्परमशिवनां करुणासमतिकतमुक्तामयचदरश्रयानां गीयमानसत्रसामर श्रीचिन्नकाहलाति समस्तभिरदावल्यलङ्कृत ज्ञानविज्ञानचक्रवर्तीनां सर्वजनसङ्गसद्यो निर्वाणदीक्षाव्ययापवर्गाणां विश्राणानां जीमूतानां परमतकलभकेसरीणां शैवसिद्धान्तस्थापनाचार्याणां श्रीराजाधिराजपाण्ड्यमहाराजगुरूणां क्षपणशाक्यादिमहान्तकारनिवारणज्ञानभानूनां वीक्षणानर्हारध्वजोच्छेदनपूर्वक श्रीमद्वृषभध्वजस्थापकानां शैवसमयकर्तॄणां सर्वज्ञपीठारूढानां श्रीजगद्गुरु श्रीज्ञानसम्बन्धदेशिकस्वामि वागीशुन्दरमाणिक्यवाचकस्वामिनाम् अवतारभूतानां श्रीज्ञानसम्बन्धस्वामि पुनरुद्धृतश्यामलापीठमहासंस्थानज्ञानसाम्राज्यशासकानां सर्वज्ञपीठारूढानां तिरुमक्तोक्तरद्विशततमगुरुमहासन्निधानानां महानिर्वाणिपीठस्य अष्टोत्तरसहस्रश्रीमहामण्डलेश्वराणाम् अट्लपीठस्य अष्टोत्तरसहस्रतम अट्लपीठाधीश्वराणां धर्ममुक्तिस्वर्गपरस्परणपीठस्य त्रयोविंशगुरुमहासन्निधानानां श्रीमत्परमहंसपरिव्राजकाचार्यवर्याणां सच्चिदानन्दप्रणवस्वरूपाणां श्रोत्रियब्रह्मनिष्ठानां नित्योत्सवनित्यमङ्गलनित्यकल्याणनित्यरिसिद्धनित्यानन्दपीठमहासंस्थानमहासिंहासनपीठकर्तॄणां कैलासपुनरुद्धारकानां जगद्गुरूणां श्रीलश्रीभगवच्छ्रीनित्यानन्दपरमशिव श्रीज्ञानसम्बन्धदेशिकपरमाचार्यस्वामिनां पादारविन्दयोः भक्तिसिद्धिः समेषां सककुटुम्बानां सकलैश्वर्यप्राप्तिः गुरुकृपाकटाक्षसिद्धिः क्षेमस्थैर्यवीर्यविजय आयुरारोग्य ऐश्वर्याणाम् अभिवृद्धिः आरोग्यदृढकार्तदा सिद्धिः आचन्द्रार्थवंशाभिवृद्धिः धर्मार्थकाममोक्ष सर्वतबलवर्शान्तसिद्धिः सर्वेषां मनसा चिन्तितकार्यानुकूलसिद्धिः सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपस्य भगवत् श्रीनित्यानन्दपरमशिवदेवस्य पादारविन्दयोः अचञ्चला भक्तिसिद्धिः भगवत् श्रीनित्यानन्दपरमशिवप्रसादेन सकुटुम्बस्य ज्ञानवैराग्यजीवन्मुक्तिप्राप्तिश्च भूयात् इति भवन्तो महान्तो न गरुणन्तो तथास्तु सर्वे जनाः सुखिनः सन्तु तथास्तु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु तथास्तु समस्तसन्मङ्गलानि सन्तु तथास्तु सर्वत्र नित्यानन्दध्वजारोहणं भवतु तथास्तु सर्वेषां भगवान् श्रीलश्रीभगवत् श्रीनित्यानन्दपरमशिव श्रीज्ञानसम्बन्धदेशिकपरमाचार्य स्वामिन् परिपूर्णकृपाकटाक्षसिद्धिः अस्तु तथास्तु अयं धर्मः उत्तरोत्तरम् अभिवृद्धिरस्तु तथास्तु सर्वं भगवत् श्रीनित्यानन्दपरमशिवपादुकार्पणमस्तु मङ्गलं कल्पवृक्षाय मङ्गलं ज्ञानदायिने सदाशिवाय श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वराय मङ्गलं मङ्गलं श्रीविद्याम्बायै मङ्गलं कामदायिन्यै सर्वमङ्गलधात्रे नित्यानन्देश्वर्यै मङ्गलं मङ्गलं गुरुदेवाय मोक्षमूलाय मङ्गलं परावतार नित्यानन्दाय गुरवे मङ्गलं मूलमन्त्रं यथाशक्ति जप्त्वा जपं समर्प्य ओम यत्किंचित् कर्म देवेश सदा सुकृतदुष्कृतं तन्मे शिवपदस्तस्य भूंशप्षभे शङ्कर शिवो दाता शिवो भोक्ता शिवः सर्वमिदं जगते शिवो यतति सर्वत्र यस्य वसोऽहमेवतो ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शान्तिः 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 हरि ओम तत्सत् सर्वं भगवत् श्रीनित्यानन्दपरमशिवपादुकार्पणमस्तु ओम नित्यानन्दम्
Nithyanandam. Nithyanandam. With all auspicious blessings and grace of my Guru Sri Paramahamsa Nithyananda Swamiji, I welcome you all to this video once again. It's my joy being here and sharing with you all the wonderful teachings of Swamiji every day. In my previous video, I have shared with you about the depths of integrity, or rather the way Swamiji teaches us how to look the various aspects of life from the periscope of integrity and to the levels in which we have to look into, breaking all the superficial, the surface barriers of what we understand as integrity. The next principle I would really like to share with you all is authenticity. How authentic we are to ourselves, to others, to the world around us. To a large extent, we ourselves are not authentic to our own idea of what we want to be, which reflects in the way we interact with others and the way things happen around us. That is what Swamiji talks about, our inner image, the outer image, the life image, and the way people look at us. In Sanskrit, these are called Sampurti, Shraddha, Upayanam, and Apyayanam. Shraddha is the Sanskrit word for authenticity. When I first heard the word Shraddha, I always thought of it as a kind of a dedication or intense concentration, let me say. I will not look at it as authenticity. For me, I understood the levels of authenticity, Shraddha, when Swamiji introduced the story of Nachiketa to us. Nachiketa is the hero in one of the most famous Upanishad called the Katha Upanishad. Katha Upanishad is one of the most ancient scriptures which teaches us life through understanding death. When Swamiji introduced the concept of Shraddha to the Sangha, to Nithyananda Sangha, his devotees and disciples, he narrated the story of Nachiketa, who is the hero of the very famous Upanishad called the Katha Upanishad. The Katha Upanishad explains about life through understanding death. Swamiji always has said, if we understand death, life is so easy to live. Life becomes conflict-free. So it's one of the major Upanishads as per our Sanatana Dharma, and one of the most precious understandings human beings can get about death to live a conflict-free life. In this Upanishad, the hero of the book is a very small child called Nachiketa. He was a prince whose father was doing a huge yajna as he wanted to attain Lord Indra's abode. Lord Indra, as we all know, is the king of heavens, and he's supposed to have a huge, the most wonderfully built palace either on earth or on heaven. And Nachiketa's father wanted to attain that. And as per some advice, he conducted a huge yajna, and a lot of sages advised him that he has to give away what he considers the best and the most precious in his life to others, be it his citizens, to sages, to sadhus, to sons, for him to attain Indra's abode. Nachiketa's father, King Vajashravas, he was like most of us. He tried to retain the best with himself and give second quality, third quality jewels, clothes, whatever he had, including the cattle, to his citizens. Nachiketa was watching from the sidelines. He saw some sick old calves being given away, some not so good clothes being donated, and not the most beautiful of precious jewels and jewelry being donated. He started thinking that his father was not authentic. According to the sages, King Vajashravas was supposed to give the most precious, what he thought as the most precious in the world, to others. But he realized that his father was not being authentic. And somewhere in his heart, he also knew that King Vajashravas held Nachiketa, his son, as his most precious property in the world. So he goes to his father and he asks, whom are you going to give me to? The king, who has never been questioned in his whole life, and who had this huge battalion of soldiers and an army of citizens, never once asked him any kind of question, was a bit taken aback, but he also understood that his son, Nachiketa, was pinpointing to his inauthentic behavior. And he just brushed it aside, saying, there's nobody worthy taking whom I can give you to. Then he just stands by and he again watches what his father was doing. As time goes by, Nachiketa goes back to his father again and again and keeps asking him, Father, whom are you going to give me to? I'm your most precious belonging. Whom are you going to donate me to get what you want? By now, the father was so angry and so annoyed. So he told his son, you're such a pest. I'm just going to give you to the Lord of Death, Yama. For most of us, when the father would have said that, for me at least, I would have been like, oh, my father doesn't like me. How can he say that he's going to give me to the Lord of Death? And I would have been very upset. But Nachiketa was so authentic. The moment his father told him that he was going to be given to the Lord of Death, he waited for some time to see if his father would act on it, which he obviously wouldn't, and he did not. So Nachiketa decides that even though his father was not being authentic, in giving Nachiketa to the Lord of Death, Nachiketa decides to be authentic. And since his father, King Vajrashravas, told Nachiketa that he'll be given to Lord of Death, Nachiketa goes to meet the Lord of Death, Yama, in his abode, the kingdom of death. To his surprise, when he goes there, Lord Yama is not at home, but he has a host of his own soldiers and so many people to take care of guests. When Nachiketa walks in, people are a little surprised. He's a kid. Why would a kid come to the kingdom of death? And they keep asking him, who are you? What are you doing here? And then Nachiketa says, no, I've come to meet the Lord of Death and I would like to meet him. He's told that no, he's not here. He'll be back after 3 days. So Nachiketa decides to stay there for 3 days. But the Lord of Death has a few secretaries who come to him and say, no, you can't stay here. You are uninvited. We can't keep you here. This kid refuses to move. He says, nothing doing. I'm not waiting for the Lord of Death's invitation. I have been told that I will be given to the Lord of Death by my father. And by that standard, I want to be here. I want to meet the Lord of Death. And they're not able to move. The host of servants, the host of soldiers are not able to move the child out of the kingdom. Of course, they didn't want to use force. He's after all a child. So to amuse him, they allow him to stay as a guest. After 3 days, the Lord of Death, Yama, walks into his kingdom, walks into his palace. Everybody's excited to see him. There's a lot of celebration. And as he's walking through the palace, he sees one young kid sitting in one corner and just waiting. The Lord of Death knows the history of all who are going to die in the near future and who have dead or who are in his kingdom. So he's a bit surprised to see this young child just sitting there. And he asks his secretaries, who's that child? And so they tell him he's been here for the last 3 days. He refuses to move. We don't know anything about him. He's not eaten anything. So the king is now a bit surprised, the king of death. He goes to the kid and he talks to him and asks him, what are you doing here, child? What can I do for you? Then Nachiketa now explains what has happened between his father and himself. His father, King Vajrashravas, was supposed to donate his most precious things to the world. And Nachiketa, being the most precious to his father, was told by his father that he'll be donated to the Lord of Death, Yama, which is why he's here to meet him. So Lord of Death just laughs away and he says, no, we can't take people like that. Only if you physically die, you can even come into my kingdom. You just can't walk in with your physical body. It doesn't matter to the child, he's already there. It doesn't matter if he's come in his physical form or not. So the child says, no, I don't want to go. And I can't go because my father told me I have to be here. Now, this Lord of Death is put in a very difficult position. To amuse the child, he says, no, I understand your father told you. So now I have accepted you. Now I want you to go back to your kingdom on the earth and rule the kingdom. I'll give you whatever boon you want. Any boons, any number of boons you want, you ask me, I will give it. You have to go back to earth because you cannot live in my kingdom. Only the dead people can live here. The child is unfazed. He says, no, I don't want your boon. What am I going to do with your boon? If your boon is going to make me inauthentic, how is it going to help me? This puts the Lord of Death, Yama, in a very difficult situation. So he sits with the child and he explains, see, you being authentic is true, but you will make me inauthentic if I allow you to stay here. So I am telling you, please go back. I will free you from your father's word. Nachiketa finally agrees on the condition that Lord of Death, Yama, explains to him the mystery of death. This stumps the Lord of Death, Yama. And he's like, you're a child. how do you think you're going to understand the mystery of death? No way you can understand. Nachiketa convinces him, see, that's the only way I'm going to get out of your face. So let's do it. Either you tell me and I leave, or I'm going to stay here. You have no choice in this. So Lord of Death gives in, and he narrates the story, or the mystery, not a story. He narrates the mystery of death, in which the mystery of life also exists. This is one of the most contributory philosophical thought that has been given to the world by Sanatana Dharma. Swamiji has always said that the moment one understands the process of death and the mystery of death, then that after death there is life. Then life itself becomes so blissful, so joyful. There is a very famous book by the Tibetans called the Book of the Death. Likewise, this is the Vedic book. The Vedic Book of Death is not only explains the mystery of life and death and afterlife, but through his authentic standing, Nachiketa brought enlightenment to the world, to human beings. Swamiji has said that the Kathopanishad is not just the book of death, wherein the mysteries of life is explained, or the science of afterlife is explained, but it's also the book of enlightenment. This is the first time that human beings were given the science of enlightenment. And all this was possible just because of one small kid who stood on the strength of his authenticity. This is one of the greatest examples that I always go back and look into. His authenticity has become one of the greatest contributions for human consciousness. I hope you enjoyed this story. Now that I have briefly shared with you the strength of authenticity through the story of Nachiketa as Swamiji has revealed to us, in my next video, I would like to share with you the authentic responsibility that we, each of us, can take. Thank you for tuning in. Nithyanandam.